Hello, my name is Victoria Kubiak and I'm one of the nutritional therapists here at Pennybron, UK. I've worked for Pennybron for around about 25 years and I help out with courses and phone calls, and I also do main cookery demonstrations. So here I am today in the cookery demonstration room at Pennybron, and we're putting together a series of short films which will entice your taste buds into really easy and nutritional dishes. And today is the turn of the mushrooms. So we're going to do a lovely mushroom straganof, and we're going to serve it up with various other aspects which we'll come to towards the end. So the mushrooms are quite a lot of them as you first think, but they do go down, and it's important just to think about colour. So if you're going to have a lot of field mushrooms, then your stroganoff will be darker. So I've gone mostly for the large button mushrooms or white mushrooms, and then I've topped it up with some shiitake mushrooms. These are these slightly bouncy ones that you can see here. And the shiitake have really been shown to be of benefit as far as the 1,3,1,6 beta-glucans, which we'll cover in just a moment. So I'm just going to chop those up so they're ready to go in. And into the pan, I've just slowly heated a good dollop of coconut fat, which is probably one of the most stable oils to cook with, and bring out the flavour with the mushrooms beautifully, and a nice swirl of olive oil. So I've also put in a nice sprig of rosemary, and rosemary, lots going for it. Rosemary helps, or the rosemaric acid in it, helps to digest fat, and has also been researched into quite a lot as far as memory is concerned as well. And I've put in a bay leaf. I've got a fresh bay leaf here because I've got that beautiful bay leaf tree just outside of the kitchen. Antibacterial qualities, so always good to start off with a bay leaf for its flavour, and also as a base to the dishes that you're putting together. And into it, a sprig of thyme, or some dried, if you don't have the sprigs. And I'm going to put in some thyme, again a lovely flavour as far as mushrooms are concerned, and again very antibacterial, antiviral. Nice little fact for you that Florence Nightingale would regularly spray all her wards with thyme oil to prevent infection running through. So that's slightly sizzling there, and I'm going to just dress it up with my first little bit of black pepper. Remembering, always a good habit to get into sprinkling black pepper into your food or onto your dish. It has a compound called piperine. Some of you might be aware of that if you're taking a turmeric supplement. But otherwise, the piperine in itself helps with the uptake of a lot of nutrients in the dishes that you're preparing. So in goes all these mushrooms, and that is a beautiful sound. I don't know whether you can pick that up on the filming, but that sizzle means that things are in control. You can coat, and that sizzling is a real good feel-good factor in itself. I love it when things are just gently sizzling for me. So I'm just going to coat it a little bit more, put the heat down a bit, lid on just to sweat them out. And whilst we're doing that, I'm going to add a little bit more liquid. So I've taken 300 ml of hot water, and I'm going to add into it a good teaspoon of yeast extract. So we're really going for helping out as far as your B vitamins are concerned. So some yeast extract goes in there. And then I'm going to top it up with an element of sweetness as well. So we're going to go for molasses. If you wanted to, you could put a little bit of honey in, but I like the molasses because it gives it that bitter sweetness. And molasses in itself is, in all due respect to the molasses, quite a lot of the gunk that's left over after refinement. And so consequently, it's really rich as far as those nutrients of minerals are concerned. So great for your zinc, great for your iron. And also, a nice little trick, sometimes if you're feeling a little constipated, a nice dessert spoon of molasses now and again can really help to get the bowel moving. So a teaspoon of that, and I'm just going to finish off with a nice little teaspoon of low salt marigold vegetable bouillon. So I'm just going to stir that together. I can still hear that sizzling going on in my pan. And now we're going to give it a little bit more flavour and taste. Oh, that smells absolutely gorgeous. Don't forget that as far as your nutritional compounds with your dishes, of course that's terribly important, but as important is that mind, body, spirit connection that food can offer you. And smelling your food, looking at the visual aspect of your food, the memories that go behind your food or your dishes, all help with switching on your immune system all through the world of food in itself. So I'm just going to leave that just to simmer through, and then we're going to create a lovely creamy sauce which will bring in that lovely creaminess into the whole stroganoff in itself. So let's keep that going. And just what are we going to do as far as the creamy sauce is concerned? Well, I'm looking at taking the cashews, and cashew nuts are particularly helpful for iron again. They've got a lot of good fat in them, and they blend up beautifully as a cream. So I'm just going to start off, I've already started it just by blending them up quickly. Just going to do that a little bit more, excuse me. And then I'm just going to add in some milk of your choice. I tend to like using either oat milk, but actually here I've got some almond milk because the almond and the coconut in itself gives a lovely complementary flavour to the mushrooms. So we'll just put that together, blend it up again. And then that'll be a nice creamy sauce which we'll put into the mushroom base here, which I'm just looking at. Just let it go down just that little bit more, and then we'll start putting it together. So the mushrooms have been doing a lovely job here, sizzling away, reducing slightly, but they created quite a lot of juice. So just to make sure that the sauce remains creamy, I've actually strained off some of the juices that the mushrooms have created. That's not going to be wasted. I can either use that for a soup or pop it in the freezer for future use, or once we've put the cashews in, if it needs a little bit more flavour and creaminess into it, then we can put it back into the dish. And here are the cashews which have been blended up. They've still got a little bit of texture in them because that's the way I like it. But if you want a completely creamy sauce, then just keep on blending. So I'm just going to add that in, and we'll suddenly hopefully find that those cashews create a creaminess which will be a delight to taste. Whilst we're waiting for that to happen, let's just home in on why mushrooms are so helpful for us. There's lots of things going for them, apart from their delicious flavour, but also they're really helpful as far as vitamin D is concerned, and we need as much vitamin D as we can during the course of the winter months in particular. So we've got oily fish, which will give us vitamin D. We've got eggs, which will give us vitamin D, but also mushrooms. But a little tip for you, that the vitamin D will become more absorbable if from your mushrooms you give them to the light, put them on a windowsill or something like that for about half an hour or so before you actually use them. I'm just going to put this heat up a little bit so we can hopefully bring that sauce up. The second thing is that actually, as far as vegetables are concerned, they are really quite useful as far as the vegetable protein. So this dish is going to give you an element of protein. We're going to serve it with some lentils, so there'll be some aspect of protein in there. We've got the pureed cashews in here, so we've got the good fat and the protein coming from the nuts as well. So that's a useful element. But finally, we've got this wonderful long word, 1,3,1,6 beta-glucans. Don't have to remember it, just know that mushrooms are helpful for it. And the 1,3,1,6 beta-glucans, lots of research going on into that at the moment, into how it can help you as far as supporting your immune system is concerned. And that's where the research of medicinal mushrooms is coming into it as well, into play. The 1,3,1,6 beta-glucans is there, whether it's a fresh mushroom or whether it's a dried mushroom. So if with shiitake are quite difficult to get, then do please buy some lovely dried mushrooms, soak them, pop them into your dishes as you're cooking along, and you'll still retain that 1316 beta glucan. So as I say, lots going on for the mushrooms, and there aren't that many poisonous mushrooms out there, but I would say that if you are foraging, it's always worthwhile making sure that you know what you're doing and who you're going with to give you the correct choice of what to pick. Also, tinned mushrooms are always a useful one to have in your cupboard. Just making sure that you can put in some tinned mushrooms into dishes along the way. So a good couple of portions of mushrooms per week is certainly of benefit to us. Now, can you see in that camera there that that's created into a beautiful smooth sauce there? I'm pleased with that. The colour is lovely, not too dark, and I'm going to serve that up now, putting the dish together. So this is the exciting bit. I'm now going to put the dish together, and I always think of this as a beautiful outfit, but to accessorize it makes that outfit just that little bit more exciting. So I've taken some puy lentils. I used the packet because it's been pre-cooked for me, because otherwise puy lentils can take a little longer. Puy lentils come from the Puy mountains of France and are often seen to be prime as far as good soil conditions for that. So I've heated some up and I've put them on the edge. If you wanted to, you could use some red lentils. Red lentils would go well because we need to complement the colour in some way. You could use other grains, and perhaps if you were using rice, it would be an opportunity to put a couple of teaspoons of turmeric into that. That would create that rice that little bit brighter as far as the colour is concerned. You've got the anti-inflammatory compounds from the turmeric and looking good as far as colour. So I'm just going to see now that you can see this is turned into a lovely creamy sauce. I've tasted the mushrooms and they've still got a nice little bit of meatiness about them, if you like. And I'm just going to taste it. That's smacking, but I think I'm going to take the opportunity just to pour in a little bit of lemon into that. So the lemon is going to give you a bit of sourness, and sourness into food can often help to distinguish the layers of flavour that you've put into the dish. So let's pour that into the middle. We'll spoon it in. There we go. Looking lovely. Lovely wholesome meal this. What I call cosy food. Okay, and then we could sprinkle it with some seeds. So I've got pumpkin, sunflower and pine nuts here. I've just very quickly dry roasted them just to give that extra bit of crunch and roasted flavour. So I'm just going to sprinkle those on the top. And, ooh, I can't wait. Then maybe some sprinkling of some parsley. Parsley, wonderful herb, but actually really helpful digestive aid and useful for its nutritional compounds as far as the minerals are concerned. Maybe finally a little bit on the side of some mixed greens. Rocket would be good with this as well. And then you're away to sit down and enjoy. So I hope that's been enticing to you. You've seen how easy it is, and now it's your turn to have fun with it in the kitchen. Goodbye.